All right, I see some people coming in, and then we will get into our little live tonight, all about strategy. So I'm going to shrink myself here, and then we can get started. This is all about strategy tonight for BCBAs and RBTs. So this isn't so much a mock review or a formal study session. This is all about strategy. So stop studying harder, start studying with strategy. Now, I know from meeting with people who are studying, preparing to study, sometimes it feels as if you are putting so much energy into studying and not feeling any kind of reinforcement come from it. It still feels harder. You still feel like you're struggling. And at a certain point, you're going to get burned out, right? You're going to feel as if I'm doing all this for what? I'm doing all this for nothing. So I wanted to start coming up with a very clear strategy that people could follow to help them have almost like an anxiety tool. So when you're there, you're taking your exam and you feel yourself getting panicked, you feel yourself essentially about to have a panic attack, because that's like how I felt when I was taking the exam, then you can feel a little bit more comforted. I have this phrase that I can use. I can slow my breathing down and literally remind myself, I don't need to panic. I just need to use my plan. So that's kind of how I'm developing this for people. And I put together this cute little thing that I really hope is helpful to you guys. So I would love some feedback to see how it works. I think so many of you guys put in so much effort into studying and what you do. You're purchasing mocks, you're attending, you're on YouTube looking at mock exams. Many of you are putting in an insane amount of effort into trying to pass this exam. So I want to figure out a way to help you guys feel like your efforts are producing something. All about how you interpret the information. And there's some things that you can look out for. So we're going to go into our little infographic here. I'm someone that I feel like when I was taking the exam, having different, what are these called, like acronyms or something, having these in my brain really helped me. So I came up with a strategy that matches these letters, but I was thinking, okay, snails don't prefer eating apples. And I wanted to have a visual. I wanted to have something that you guys would remember to go along with these letters. And then we're going to talk about what these letters mean. But I want you all to look at this screen for a second and just get like a mental image, and then we'll move forward. But this is one that you can write down that applies to all of the questions. So instead of writing down multiple acronyms, this is kind of your plan of action. Snails don't prefer eating apples, okay? So let's go to the next slide. And this is the big problem. We all know that these exams are not testing memorization. If it were, you guys would have no problem passing at all. That wouldn't be an issue. These are testing decision-making with limited information. So this is the analytical part for both technicians and BCBAs, is they're giving you limited information on purpose because they want you to use only what you have. We're not adding things in. The other part that even I remember doing a lot when I was taking the BCBA exam, many incorrect answers are technically true, but not supported by the question. That is probably the piece that that people struggle with the most. That being true creates confusion, and that leads to second guessing. Now, what this acronym is meant to do is to help you again redirect your brain to, let me use my plan of action. So you don't have to memorize multiple things to write on your board. This is one thing. You write on there once, you write your acronym, and that's your plan of action. So when you're feeling anxious and you're like, I don't remember what to do, yes, you do. You have your plan. Like, the letters are right there. And let's talk a little bit about test taking anxiety. I certainly struggled with this quite a bit when I was preparing for the BCBA exam. And this is me prior to me being diagnosed with ADHD. So I wish that I would have known that, because I definitely would have gotten accommodations. I do want to remind people that that's something that you can get. It sounds as if it takes the BACB a little while to get them to you, but look, people worked really hard for us to have what limited American Disabilities Act we have. So if we do have those accommodations available and you qualify for them, if that's something you're open to, please research it, because I want you guys to have all the support that you need and all the support that you deserve. So, test taking anxiety. When more than one answer sounds right, your brain starts automatically filling in the missing details. And when you're overthinking, you're pulling in outside knowledge, you're making inferences, you're thinking about, well, when I was in this situation, I did, or I had a client that did something similar. We're sticking to the page, we're sticking to the question. The time pressure makes this worse and increases the panic-based decision making. This is the point of having this acronym here. When you are feeling panicked and asking yourself, what do I do? You can go right back to this. See details, pick evidence-based answers. That's your plan of action. So this gives you a clear plan of action when you're feeling stuck instead of guessing. When the panic sets in, it's like, I don't know. I just don't know. This is to slow you down. Yes, you do. You have a plan. This creates a routine you can repeat for every question, even when you're under pressure. So it slows you down enough to interrupt the panic and stay on task. It keeps your focus on the words in the question, because we will get into what letter in this means step by step, so you can kind of see, okay, let me redirect myself to go back to the question and look for X, Y, and Z. And it replaces what if, and it also replaces I can't or I don't know with I have a plan and I'm going to try. So some of this is very, mental, I think. So that's why I wanted to come up with something like this. Like, I wanted to help you move forward confidently, even when the question gets tricky. So the question is feeling as if you're weighing two answers and you're going to, well, I just don't know. This is to prompt you to say, I'm not sure, but I have a plan. I have a routine. I have a clear plan. I have a routine, as I have here, that's going to help me make a decision. Okay. Let's start with search. And I have a little scenario question, but first I want to go through what your job is. Now, some people like this strategy and some people don't. I found this to be helpful for me personally. But before you even look at the answers, asking yourself what the question is asking you to do, what they're looking for. I really like this strategy, because as I was reading the answer choices, I would find myself already in my brain adding in information that wasn't there, or thinking back to a client that was similar. And it's like, no, that's not what we're doing. We're focusing on this information. So that is one very classic strategy that I think could help a lot of people. Before you even look at the answers, if you need to try to mentally cover it up, read through the question first. The task word, often the verb, not always, tells you how to respond, not just what content to think about. So we want to look at words such as identify, define, describe. I won't read through all of these. Analyze, calculate, measure, review, predict. And this is more so on the BCBA exam, but decide. But I'd say for the RBT exam, you probably are going to see a lot of identify, a lot of selecting, a lot of probably not calculate, but deciding. So I guess decide would look different for BCBA versus RBT. RBT questions might be more in alignment with, when do you decide to do something or go to your BCBA, versus the BCBA exam would be more in alignment of, you're going to decide what steps are best. You're going to decide what to do, and you're the person, doing it, right? So let's look at this scenario question and use our acronym to search for the details. So that's essentially what we're doing in this question. An RBT reports that a client frequently leaves the table during instructional activities. Data show the behavior occurs most often when new or difficult tasks are introduced. The supervising BCBA has reviewed the data but has not made changes to the program yet. What is the most appropriate step? So when we're in that S, we're looking or searching for different details that stick out to us, okay? Yes, what is the next appropriate step is the question that we're looking at, but we want to really look for those action words. So reviewed the data, okay? That's going to kind of stick out to me. I'm going to review it again and look at the fact that it says has not made changes to the program yet. So at just this step, before you move on to the next acronym letter, asking yourself, okay, what do they want to know? Breaking the question down for yourself first. So after this slide, I want to go through and I'll have the question and I'll have the answer choices, I think. And from there, we'll be able to talk about what the correct answer is for that one. So I'm going to leave this on the screen for just a second to give you guys an opportunity to read it and essentially apply what's here. Your first job is, you don't have the answers yet, so you can't look at it, right? That's why I wanted to create it that way. Before you even look at the answers, figure out what the question is asking you to do. So read the question for a second. You don't have to type in the chat or anything. It's just kind of like a exercise you do with yourself. Also, I need to drink water, so that's part of the reason why. Okay, let's go to the next slide here. So I've got our question here, and I have our answer choices. So I'd like to go through this with you guys together, and let me move myself out of the way. Got our scenario question, and these are your answer choices. Implement escape extinction to reduce leaving the table. Increase reinforcement for remaining seated during instructional tasks. Continue data collection while evaluating task difficulty. And D, prompt the client to return to the table and complete the task. So I'm going to leave this on the screen for a second. You guys take your time to like a minute or so, and then I'll go on to the answer. So if you'd like to participate, you can put your answer choice in the chat. Okay, someone said A or B. Now, what I would like you to do is if your answer choice, well, whatever your answer choice is, but Rob said A or B, I want you to go back to the question and search for the details that kind of point to your answer choice. What is the most appropriate step given the fact that, okay, the data shows that the behavior occurs most often at a certain point. The supervising BCBA has looked at that data but hasn't made any changes yet. Well, this is why it's good to practice, because you can take this paradigm and with your own mock exams, with your study materials, you can still use this strategy. So that's what I like about it. Okay. Someone said, okay, between B and C, someone said C because changes haven't been made and she's trying to see which one is better. Okay. If the BCBA has not made a change, there's a reason for that. Right, so maybe C. Okay, you guys ready to see the answer? Okay, the answer is C. And Domo, I love her explanation. I wish I could, I don't think I can pin your comment. Oh, I can. Domo said C because changes haven't been made and she's trying to see which is better. She's gathering more information. So before we could implement escape extinction, before we increase reinforcement, we kind of need to gather more information first. So what I put here is for A and B, both of these jump to the intervention phase, like a form of the intervention phase, and prompting the client to return to the table and complete the task as planned treats behavior as a performance issue, not an assessment issue. So there's a lot of things we don't know yet, right? So this is an example of how you can use this paradigm, this acronym to help you go through and have a plan of action and a routine for every question. So when you are, as I said, getting nervous, you're not sure what answer to pick yet, you can, have a plan. Okay, the next one is details. And details tell you what's true right now. Now, this could be for both the RBT and BCBA exam. Oh, I moved myself. But you want to scan for details within the question. Like, we are searching for details. This is just a slide to kind of help us look at in more detail what those details are or how to find them. Looking at the setting, who's present, whether or not data has been collected, a little bit of data collection in terms of frequency versus duration, intensity. This is more for the BCBA exam, I'd say, but safety concerns or absence of them, and whether or not the function has been identified. So kind of training yourself to ask, what facts are clearly stated? What information am I missing? And the last question, I'm not sure, I might change that because I don't want to prompt you guys to assume, but I just want you all to be more aware of when you are making assumptions versus what you actually see on the page. What if you could point to the computer screen or highlight? What can you highlight? What can you underline? Like, what is a fact here? So we've got another scenario-based question here that will kind of practice looking for the details in this question. Excuse me. So this is the question. Okay, BCBA reviews data showing increased task refusal during academic sessions. Refusal occurs primarily when the task length exceeds 10 minutes. No change is observed during shorter sessions. Which detail should guide the next phase of analysis? So here, what I want you guys to practice is just looking for details. What is true? What do you know to be a fact? Duration of task. Okay. So the task length definitely exceeds 10 minutes. And essentially, we know that there's no change in a shorter session. Like, we know that. Like, those are things that we know for sure. We don't need to add in anything. We don't want to add in any information here. And this question, this is practice, so this is a little bit easier, but I just want to get you guys in the practice of doing this exercise. Which detail should guide the next phase of analysis? A, frequency of refusal behavior. B, the client's diagnosis. C, instruction of demands. D, the instructional setting. Okay. Okay. Yeah, most of you guys got this one. That might have been too easy. Okay, yes, the answer is C for this one. The duration of the task demands. When you're feeling stuck, when you're feeling panic, when you're feeling anxious. I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. Yes, you do. And even if you feel like you don't know right now, I have a plan to help me choose the best answer that I can.